Hello, everybody, and welcome to Culture Talk. I know it's been a long time since we've met, but we're back, and I want to thank you guys for being patient while we were getting everything together. So this morning, a little bit of time change for us, but we are doing it early in the morning because of what's going on in the world, which allows us to open up even more to things. So this morning, we're taking things to New York, like I said before. We have Pat Massaroni from Archbishop Stepinac, which is in White Plains, New York. He's the head basketball coach there. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing well. As you said, navigating through these times and just adjusting to the new norm and doing well. No complaints, and just keep progressing forward. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. So I don't know if you've seen me do other interviews before, but I usually start the exact same way. Tell me, when did you first fall in love with basketball?
I would say probably young age. My parents had me involved in all different sports, and sports in general were a passion, still a passion. But the game itself, probably, when you could remember playing on the little hoops and you could at least throw the ball up with two hands, and whatever age that might have been. But loved it as I progressed and got older, from 6, 7, 8 years old, and you're playing competitively, and I wasn't the best of the bunch, but just love to compete, still love to compete. So I would say at a young age, I don't know specifically what number, but that was the game itself is something that I've always loved, and obviously taken me to many places that I don't think I would have gone individually, and continue to open many doors for me. So that's a positive as I look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you fall in love with something that young, it just stays with you, right? So what about coaching? When did you fall in love with being a coach? Is it a transition from being a player to a coach? When did you first fall in love and say, this is something I definitely want to do?
Yeah, I had gotten hurt my junior year of high school, playing football, and between that and not being as talented as some of the players that the program was bringing in and having here at Stepinac, I kind of transitioned to being a team manager and student assistant, whatever you want to, title you want to do it. And I say now that being a manager now is like the thing, if you're not good enough, is the kind of the thing to do. And they have Twitter accounts and social media accounts, and they play manager games the night before games. It wasn't as cool when I was doing it, right? It wasn't that, cool. It wasn't the thing. It wasn't a public notoriety, which was fine. So I would say probably junior year of high school is when it was. And then from there, being a Division I, basketball manager, and then a grad assistant, at James Madison University, in Virginia, and then making my way back up to New York. I worked with the Nets for 2 years part-time when they moved to Brooklyn from Jersey, and then got back into being at my alma mater, coaching one of our lower level teams, and then getting the job back in April of 2015. So I would say probably, again, you go back to high school and that time, I fell in love with wanting to coach and wanting to be able to be a leader and continue to be a leader and be able to give back and just be involved in the game some way, somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. So since 2015, you've had so much success there. So congratulations on that, first of all.
Thank you.
I mean, state titles, championships, players going to, get highly recruited. And I read recently that one of your players was extremely shocked when Coach K walked through the door.
Yeah.
So take me through those emotions as a coach, just seeing your players, get to that level where they want to go.
Yeah, I would say, go back to your first point. Thank you on those comments. And I think the success here in the New York area, it's hard. It's hard to win. It's hard to be successful besides just winning. And I think there's a historic programs in the league we play in, where you are right down in Maryland, in the DC area, in the Northern Virginia area, in Chicago, LA, wherever, recently Atlanta's had really good basketball. So I think a lot of that has to do with the people around me, and I'm a big we over me guy. Our guys have always believed in that. It's kind of part of our culture. If you talk about it, our guys and our staff and our support staff, our administration and teachers have bought into what we wanted to do and what we believed in. You know, a guy by the name of Rodney Swain is our associate head coach, has been with us, been with me from day one. He was the first hire I made. And there's other coaches in our program that have been stable there. Our AD's been here, you know, for 40 years, our principal 20 plus, our president 20 plus. And everybody believes in what we want to do on and off the court. And like you said, that quote, you know, in whatever news article it was or video, I think the tipping point as a high school coach, when you have the likes of Coach K and Jay Wright and, you know, Jeff Capel and Patrick Ewing and Roy Williams, and you go down the list, Mick Cronin, coming in your gym, right, to see your student athletes, is kind of the peak of the peak, right? It's the peak. The Hall of Famers, you know, as the kids refer to it, the GOATs of basketball, that are there to see your players because of how hard they worked and their families. And then it's rewarding. That's probably the biggest thing. It's rewarding. It's not saying you reached it all, because that's not what it is, but it's the rewarding factor, knowing that the hard work everyone's put in the classroom, socially, and then athletically is being seen by the best of the best. That, I would say, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have those coaches walk into your gym, I think it's a tendency just as people to kind of tighten up or want to make sure we're putting the best foot forward. So as a coach, what is your mindset if you know a coach is coming, or if you don't know a coach is coming, what's your mindset through keeping that player kind of grounded and saying, regardless of who's here, let's just make sure we're doing what we do?
Yeah, I think you're starstruck no matter what, right? That's the naturalness of life. And there's nerves for everybody, specifically those kids who are getting recruited, though, you know, I think. And then the other kids, to make sure that they continue to perform. But the biggest thing is, whether we're playing in front of 3,500 fans, whether we're in Florida, California, you know, Delaware, Maryland, it's when that coach or that person leaves the gym, they say, wow, look how hard they played. Look how well they competed. And they played as a team, and they played unselfish, but saying, like, I want to come back and watch these kids again, you know, and to just say to them, like, hey, throw out who's in this gym right now, block out. And that's what big time players do, right? When they got to make a clutch free throw or big shot or big rebound. It's the same with open gym or a game. You know, when Roy Williams is sitting at almost the end of your bench, or Coach K's sitting courtside watching your guys work out. These kids just got to stay focused on what do you do? What you do to get them in your building is what you have to do, and stay grounded and just stay focused and mentally be focused on what the task is at hand. And again, you got to get the early jitters out. So as a coach, you got to do some easy things to get them going. Let them make a layup, make them an 8-footer. We're not having them, you know, make 23s in front of these guys right now. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to just try to calm them down. And we've been fortunate enough to play in front of huge crowds and huge environments all over the country. And I think because our guys just play so hard and know how to play the right way, and that's a testament to, like I said, to Rod, myself, my staff, and our kids buying into what we wanted to do 5 years ago, that all comes natural to them to a degree.
Yeah. And you mentioned a good point about the mental aspect of everything. Now, through this amazingly different times, how are you keeping your guys not just mentally prepared for the game, but in the classroom as well, because they're still student athletes? So how do you get them to say, you know, even though, you know, basketball is what it is right now, we still got to make sure academically we're sound?
Yeah, and it goes back to that pride and that satisfaction as a coach. Every kid that's played in our program has graduated and been qualified to go play either football or basketball. Those are the two type of kids we've had graduate that have played. But I think it goes back to last March, right? When all this came down and they were like, hey, it's going to be 2-3 weeks, you know, whatever it might be, this will go away. And now 8 months later, it's here. And it's probably, you know, going to be here for a little bit, whether, you know, however you view it. I think for our guys, the biggest thing was to open our doors are always open, but open our phone lines and Zoom calls. You know, we were doing weekly Zoom calls with our guys early on, just talking life and talking what's going on, and how do you mentally stay focused. And now it's shifted to, you know, our season. And how can you mentally prepare? Can you watch film? Can you watch our film? Who do you admire? Who do you not, really like, but like their game and could maybe pick up some pointers? And then academically, it's tough. Kids are either, Stepinac's in that hybrid program. So you're either in 3 days and online too, or vice versa, or you could be fully remote. So how do you get out of bed and focus on your academics at 8:30 in the morning? But it goes back to it's not me. It's the staff and the support staff. We have an student athlete academic advisor that's great with our guys. We have online systems and communication. All our guys have their own email address, that almost instant communication from our teachers. So I think them being prepared, but then the new guys, right? We have freshmen that come in and sophomores that you got to keep them focused at what it is, and daily to weekly check-ins with them on their online grade portals. And then it's not just telling them the negative. When they do something good, letting them know as well. So the mental aspect is so much of it. And I think you're seeing more and more, both because of this pandemic and not, the evolution of young men and individuals in general that mentally struggle. And I think the big thing is for people to open up and talk about it. And I don't have all the answers, but I know people can assist us, and that's what we have here at Stepinac.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a tough balance for anybody, right? Even for us as adults.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never gone through this, so it's hard for us to even give advice to kids about it.
Yeah.
So I want to change gears just a little bit and talk more about the program itself, and just how you like to go about it. If somebody had to ask you and set you down and said, what are you saying you pride your program on? What would be that one or two things that you say, we pride our program, we pride ourselves on this? What would that be?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, being accountable young men on and off the court. So you mentioned it before, we were talking being a student athlete. And not everybody's the smartest, and not everybody can get hundreds. But how do you work to get to that next level? If you're getting 75s, how do you get to 80? How do you get from 80 to 85? And it's the same mentality. If you're the 5th guy on the depth chart, how do you go to 4? Or you're the 10th man, how do you get to 8? So accountability is the biggest thing. And that factors in so much. Are you accountable to be in help defense? Are you accountable to remember a set? Are you accountable to be on time to the trainer a half hour beforehand, right? You accountable to get a lift in? All that stuff. So accountability is a big word we use for us. And then another thing we talk about, and I know a lot of programs use this word, but we really, really mean it, is family, right? And family. And with family, you got to have open dialogue and communication on things. But part of family is that the ups and downs. And if you can't be honest with each other and you can't communicate with each other, the good and bad, then I don't think you're going to be successful. Our guys, I go back to, the biggest thing whenever we leave a workout, a skill workout, an open run, a fall league game, a regular game, a team camp, is, did you play hard? Did you play hard? That's what, win or lose, did you play hard? And did whoever it might be, you, another fan, locally or across the country, say, wow, Stepinac, like, they competed. They played their butts off. And they'll be remembered. Like we played at City Palms last year, lost, and got a standing ovation because of how hard our kids played. And that's our kids. And that's because of their family dynamic and what they believe in here. So, I mean, we have a lot of different values, and our culture is what it is, but say accountability and that family, and they're very broad terms, but there's a lot of, little different tabs in under those words that make our guys be successful. And then beyond having guys, 2 guys in the ACC, guy in the A10, NEC, Division II, Division III kids, a kid at JUCO right now, all different levels. It's what's your path, what's your avenue to make you successful, and hopefully learn here. So when you graduate, you're a better man, you're a better person.
Absolutely. So, and now I love to ask coaches this, because I think sometimes, especially when we've had a lot of success, we remember the times where we didn't, or that one game, or that one moment where we're like, oh, what was I thinking? I messed that up. So take me back to a time where you had that one game where you're like, man, what in the world was I thinking on that? Why did I call this, or why did I call that? And tell me how you worked yourself out of that.
Yeah, I would say it probably goes back to so the second year I was the head coach here. As you know, we've talked about, there's a lot of history here. And before I got the job for the previous 2 years, it was a downward slope, and the program was down. And you walk into our gym and there's Division I jerseys everywhere, and there's D2 and D3 plaques and a couple pros on the wall. So there's a little bit of pressure to be successful. But probably year 2, we play in a AA division on the road versus an A school, kind of a little bit of a rival, but down a division and lose the game in year 2. And it was probably the rock bottom of my 5 years, because you shouldn't lose that game, right? Made some bad decisions as a coach, and like you said, you remember the losses a lot more than you remember the wins, I think, as a coach. Those ones, make you not sleep at night. But I would say probably year 2 is the most pinnacle. It's the highest one of losing that game. And people saying, like, can he really coach? What's his program doing? All right, you get the benefit of the doubt in year 1, but year 2, and at that time we had 2 high-level guys, right? Division I players who have now graduated and or transferred. So it was probably that moment that, like, hey, I don't want to feel this again, and we shouldn't feel this again as a program. And I won't name names because people do watch these shows and people watch Stepinac basketball. So, but me personally, that was probably the bottom of the bottom. And then you go back and you can look at each one, right? We lost to Christ the King 2 years ago in the city championship. You always question decisions that you make, and they mixed things up for us. We probably could have countered, all that stuff. And you can look at all the losses and critique each one, but the overall success is what makes it so enjoyable here.
So let's go back to that when you mentioned in year 2, when you said, you may have made some bad decisions. Did that change how you wanted to go about things, or did you just say, you know what, it may not have been successful this time, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work?
Yeah, I take this from Rod a little bit. We were going to do it our way, or get let go or fired our way, so and that way was being accountable, demanding respect, playing really hard, giving these kids exposure, to be available to college coaches at the next level, to get these kids ranked McDonald's All-American. So you go back to year 2, I said, and you text and you call some people that night, and my wife deals with the misery when I'm at home and whatnot, my family, who are such big supporters of me and this program, that you just say, you know what, you got to work a little harder. You got to grind a little more. You got to out-tough me personally, the next coach we play, the next person we play, the next team we play, so that our kids and the athletes on the court go ahead and do that as well. So I think at that point, you could feel sorry for yourself, but do you want to feel this again, or do you want to work to try to get to the pinnacle of the New York City AA title that has been won by legends, greats, pros? I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Let's take it to a high note now. Tell me about a game or like a practice where you just felt like everything was clicking. You were making the right calls. You were making the right substitutions, or like you didn't even. Because sometimes as a coach, we want to be able to just sit back and the players just kind of take over. Tell me about a game where you just felt like, man, we're in right now.
Yeah. So that year 2, we lost in the CHSA semifinals, and we felt we got a bad whistle with under a second to go, loose ball rebound. We lose on a 1-on-1. That's how we lost. We lost. And we had never gotten to that point since 2010. So 6-7 years later, I would go back, jump ahead to year 3. We're in the same exact game versus same team. Everybody's a year older at St. John's. We're playing Malloy. They got Cole Anthony, who's going to be a top 10 draft pick. Moses Brown, who's in the NBA. Khalid Moore is at Georgia Tech. That's their starting 3 right there, right? Those are their starting 3. And year 3, we're not supposed to be back. And our guys, the night before, we played on a Thursday night at St. John's University. We just had a great practice. And then that game, 88-84, I actually watched it, in the pandemic when I was home one night, no sports on. The game itself and just everything about it, the emotion, the crowd, live on at the time it was MSG Varsity. Just everything clicked. And I think because of how hard the guys worked, we got to overcome that maybe bad call or whatever it was that people still talk about. So it was March of whatever year that was, 2018, at St. John's versus Malloy. And then we went on to we won the whole thing. We won the New York State Federation title. We ended up winning 1, 2, 3 more games up in Glens Falls. And, but that city semifinals is still one of the most memorable games. Guys just made big play after big play. And our guys the staff made the right decisions, sub-wise, play-wise, just everything about it. And that's not even, people are going to say you're crazy because you won a city championship, you won 2 archdiocesan championships, and you won a federation title. How can those not be? They're rewarding, and they're the top of the top. But that semifinal, to get over that hump and get back to the city championship for the first time since 1960, that was it right there.
One that'll stay with you.
Yeah, for sure. And then you look at, like, I just go back to, you look at the 3 pros. I mean, guys make a lot of money, and we got guys on that team that still progressing, but they got a chance to make money and be pros too. So
amazing. Yeah. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Now this is the part where people get to know you a little bit better, like the fire here. So some quick questions, nothing embarrassing.
Okay.
This first thought that comes to your mind. I'll keep it easy first. Are you ready?
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Favorite food?
Italian.
Of course. Favorite color?
Blue.
If you could live in any country or any city, where would it be?
Any country would have to be Italy.
Of course.
Sure. I mean, not because I'm 50-50. I'm half Irish, half Italian, but we visited Italy 2 years ago. I got to go back. Go back. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you could have any car in the world, money is no object, what would it be?
Oh, any car. Oh, this is tough. I'm not a big car guy. It would probably be some sort of like souped up Range Rover, no value, no limit type of Range Rover, kind of bigger, car. I'm not a car guy. You threw me on the spot there. Something that teleports me. No traffic. New York traffic is crazy.
Yeah, I bet. What's most embarrassing coaching moment?
Most embarrassing coaching moment? Probably, this got to be a quick answer. Probably what I got thrown out a couple years ago because it involves a suspension, and it was like 0.8 seconds to go in the game. So probably the most embarrassing coaching moment.
What's something about your personality or about you that only the people you live with or that nobody really knows about?
I love to talk, text, and communicate, and probably overdo it. And so that's probably something that people know I like to communicate, but those that know me well make fun of me that I love calling and talking to people and texting.
Now, as soon as you become a coach, no matter what level, the players always see you as the older person, right?
Yep.
And they always find something to make fun of you for. What's that one thing that your players get on you about?
Using the word unbelievable. They make fun of me. I got a FaceTime from a guy that played a couple years ago. He's year 3 in college and still makes fun of me for using the word unbelievable. I guess I use it in all my interviews. I guess I love using it in practice. They love when gear gets here, whatever it might be. Had my, daughter in a couple months ago, back in June. I guess I was texting using that word. So that's something that I can't get at. And now you got me self-conscious on it, but they make fun of me for that all the time. And guys like RJ and AJ and Alan and Joel, they, make fun of me still the way I say it.
Unbelievable. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking this time. Before we go, being that you've had that type of success as a coach, I always like for people to leave a little bit of encouragement for coaches that are coming up, young coaches or coaches that are just new to the game. What would you tell them about achieving their success?
Yeah, I would say this. Whenever you think you know it all, you don't. And you got to keep learning. Learn to your style, learn to your way. I think when I got the job when I was 27 years old, and that's young to be a head coach at any high school program, but especially an elite one and one in the Catholic High School League. So I think my advice to anybody of any age, anybody who tells you they know it all or they act like they know it all, those aren't the people you want to be around. You got to be around people that want to learn, that could be honest with you, that could be communicative with you, and you got to be uncomfortable. You got to be uncomfortable, whatever you want to do. We're fortunate. I'm fortunate. Top 25 high school program in the country out of 20, 30,000 schools. Playing a national schedule, McDonald's All-Americans, great assistant coaches. I'm fortunate. Some people aren't, but get to the point where one day you're fortunate by learning and listening and network. That making fun of me for that. That's what got us into some tournaments. I just cold called and just said, give us a chance. And now we're getting invited. We have a waiting list on our non-conference games. So my biggest thing is just continue to communicate and learn going forward.
Thank you. Some wise and great advice from Pat.
I appreciate it. Thank you for taking time. And to all your viewers, if anybody sees us in New York, or we were down in Maryland a couple years ago, and we played O'Connell, and we're supposed to come down to Maryland again this year, but we'll see what happens with our season, everybody's season. And thank you again, and continue your success and all that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And that's Pat Massaroni, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us on Culture Talk. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.